Hello everybody and welcome back for another 1v1 replay in Edain. Now I haven't been doing a lot of these, but I'll give a quick explanation on why in a little while. So, today we're back again with another Imladris, with me playing Imladris, and I actually use the same strategy as I used in my previous Imladris 1v1 video, and we'll see how well it works out for me again. So really this is, again, me thinking about how to use Imladris well. So, I'm doing exactly the same thing. 2 early resource buildings. Obviously, very early Aristar, because why not? There's no reason not to use him very early. There's no real decision about using Aristar or not using Aristar. You just use him, otherwise he's sitting there doing nothing. And here we go. I've got the outside farm, so exactly the same thing. I'm planning on creeping the walls over here, and there we go. So last time, I won with this strategy against Deathless Erebor. Now, Erebor are very slow, so they are somewhat less capable of harassment than some other factions. And enough about me. Let's go and see who my opponent is. My opponent is of Clan BMD. It's Dmitry. The boy is back on Noobfella's YouTube channel, and he's Mordor. He's gone for a classic Orc Barrack start, and once again he's going for very early archers. This seems to be a recurring theme in Dmitry's Mordor play. I'm not quite sure of his reasonings behind it, but it seems to work well for him because he very often wins with Mordor. So I really have to have a think about why he goes for that so early. Nevertheless, once again, the Orc Snooper. Is it Snooper? I think it's Snooper. Yes, the Orc Snooper. He's gone for 2 farms on the outside, and it's great to do that because it really frees up your scout hero to harass over here and gain some levels, and then come over here and creep the troll. So it's very similar to the first video I showed, where Dmitry really is using almost an identical tactic as that video. I have creeped the wargs over here, and let's have a quick look at my PowerPoints. He's got Eye of Sauron there, and I've gone for heal. And as I said in my previous Imladris video, heal is so important when creeping the wargs. So, another look at my base, and here we go. The absolute focus on economy. It worked so well for me last game. Surely it's going to work well for me here again. And I've gone for a barracks. Now that's a late barracks. It's definitely not an early barracks. It's a very late barracks because I've completely filled all of my eco buildings. With Imladris, I like to keep this free for the library and this free for the cavalry. So to me, this is completely filling my eco buildings. And then I've gone for the barracks. So I'm creeping, and as we see, Dmitry has come in. I suppose they're pretty good at creeping trolls, actually, these very early archers. He's come in and he's stealing my troll. Yet again, Dmitry stealing my trolls. Not very nice. Plus stop. Plus no. So here we go, creeping, grabbing the farms, and really my economy will be extremely strong in this position. Now, another thing to mention, here we go, upgrading again. Another thing to mention, which is so important for me, at least, when I'm thinking about strategies, is that the resources produced from these inside farms are exactly the same as the outside farms. I mentioned this in my first ever video, and it's so important because really, these are 400 each, whereas these are just 200. So, and here, very, very poor creeping there from me. This is how you can bugger up creeping a warg with the Imladris units, and really that has set me back quite a bit. And I've had to just simply retreat there because I didn't creep them well enough, and they're just going to die if I send them back into these wargs. And it looks like I'm going a little bit too far. I don't know what the hell I was doing there, just being a general noob. And here we go. Thanks to Dmitry's very early barracks, he's managed to get out all of these orcs, and he's managed to get out some archers. Now, I've only got 2 units of... I've only got 2 battalions of units now. And instead of sending these units over here to try and grab this area of the map, I actually tried to send them up here to try and keep these guys alive. Because what I was thinking at the time was I saw his army move from here all the way down to here, and then he ended up here with the army. So I was thinking I'm going to move these up here to try and fight and keep this unit alive. So that's why I sent them perhaps in the wrong direction, as it turned out. And he has chased this unit in the end, which has allowed this unit to survive. So here you see I'm trying to chase down his archers with my battalion of Rivendell swordsmen. So yes, my eco is pretty strong at the moment. And I hope you didn't notice that queuing there. That would be highly embarrassing at the amount of times I've been going on about queuing. Look at this now. Because I've only got 1 battalion of Imladris troops and he's got all of these units, they really are doing damage to me. I managed to use a heal, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to die. And I've had to go for such an early fountain on my wall. Now, I did say in my last Imladris video how essential this is, the Mystic Fountain, and here's a good example of how quickly it heals your units. However, I really don't like to go for it that early because it is 500 resources and I could be using that for other purposes. However, thanks to my strong economy, I did quite just about manage to afford it. Now, the Mystic Fountain is so excellent and so quick at healing your units. However, it doesn't heal them instantaneously, and as you see here, actually, if you've got enough of a force with the doubled buff, as Dmitry has here, you are capable of killing units, and there goes 1 battalion. Now, I'm losing battalions against orcs. That is really, really, really not good from me. And really what is doing it here is Dmitry's very early archers, as well as the double shagger right there. I just want to point that out. Anyway, so yeah, the extremely early archers really does work well against Imladris in particular, because you can use the orcs to tank, whereas you use the archers on aggressive, as you saw there, and they really do inflict quite a bit of damage. Nevertheless, my spam that I've now managed to maintain, thanks to the strong inside economy, has allowed me to produce enough units to push him back. However, in the meantime, he wasn't just sitting around, he's been creeping. He's been taking the Wildman, and he's actually gone for a Cirith Ungol. Now, Cirith Ungol pikes are extremely good, and that is going to be a direct counter to my cavalry, which I haven't even got yet. So it's a preemptive strike of his, a preemptive counter of his to counter my cavalry. And as you see, the troll spam begins. The troll spam begins, and really, trolls are so scary against any faction really, but against Imladris as well, as if you don't get pikes, that is. Now, obviously, as I mentioned before, monsters are extremely good against swordsmen. They're not so good against pikes, especially if they run through them and get trample revenge. They die very easily, but against normal swordsmen, they're very effective. And say you're playing against Gondor and you're using trolls and you kill some of their swordsmen. Okay, that's very good. It stopped the creeping, it stopped the harass. However, the death of the units themselves isn't so big of a deal. But as I've said so many times, the death of Imladris units is so important. If you kill 2 Gondor soldiers, 2 battalions of Gondor swords, you lose 400 resources. If you kill 2 battalions of Rivendell swords, you've killed 1,000 resources worth of units. That is so huge, especially in the early game. So that's why trolls can be really effective against Imladris. And as you see, it's simple. He's actually not producing any orcs here. And the reason for that, if we go over to have a look at his command points, is probably, and this is what I assume he's thinking at the time, is that actually these orcs are free. These orcs are free. What was I going to say then? Anyway, these orcs are free, but they're not completely free because they take up command points. And he's probably thinking, I want to keep my command points clear to keep spamming the trolls. Anyway, here he goes with Shelob. And as you see, I've got no pikes. I've got no pikes to counter the trolls, and I've got no pikes to counter Shelob. However, the Rivendell swordsmen do such high damage, and because they managed to surround Shelob, they took it down reasonably easily. And you can see here that he's actually going to run away from me, because despite the fact that trolls are very good against swordsmen, and even against the elite Rivendell swordsmen, one troll versus this, however many that is, that's like 6. And here's an example of me, once again, not splitting Imladris troops, which has allowed them to survive. This one troll isn't going to be able to kill these, and in fact these swordsmen can very easily kill them. As you see here, I've used the speed boost, because I have got this library and gone for military studies, and my plan was to chase down this troll. However, trolls are very fast. They're very similar to cavalry in that respect, being so fast, and even with the speed boost, my swords couldn't capture them. In the meantime, he's pushing and harassing more. So let's have a quick look at the map. And Dmitry has complete control of the top of the map, and he's also creeping. He's got pretty much half of the bottom as well. So really, I've got hardly anything of the map. But I've got my strong inside economy. Now, he does try and go for a base rush here. And you see, a little bit of damage, not a lot, but if the troll had stayed there and tried to attack my units, then surely it would have died. Now, 715 out of 1080. In his first match, oh, sorry, not in his first match, in the first match that we played, that I uploaded onto YouTube, he had very few command points as Mordor, which is a terrible thing to have. Here he's got much more, and look at the resources as well, 2,000 resources. So really these outside farms, as you see here, are doing so well for him. And once again, the troll harass is so strong, and look at this, 4 trolls coming in to destroy my poor little farm. And where have these 2 farms gone? They've completely disappeared. So once again, I'm completely have no map control here. And actually, when I was looking back on this video, here you see a little bit of army splitting, which I don't like to do, but I was almost forced to do it to try and harass. But I see this huge army here that I just simply have to retreat. Now, this is something that the reason why I think I had so little map control was precisely because I did do this very heavy eco start. Now, the very heavy eco start, as we saw against Deathless, did work quite well against the slow units that couldn't really grab the outside farms, or another way of saying that is that they couldn't grab map control so easily. But with these trolls, you saw they've completely grabbed map control, and now each of these farms produce 24 resources, the exact same that I produce. So really, I've got 3.5/4 farms when Aristor is here, versus his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loads basically. And let's have a look at his base as well. He's got so many here, and look at this, he's coming in with 4 trolls, and so they're so good at harassing, and they can just knock down gates as well. So really, my very strong economy start, which worked so well in the previous game, really isn't working now, and mistiming from me not being able to produce pikes. And look, I'm a bit command point limited here because I haven't gone for the pantries as well. Or rather, I have gone for the pantries, 3 pantries in fact, but it's not quite enough. And I managed to kill a few of his trolls with this tower. Now I know that Dmitry loves a troll rush, and that's the reason why I went for this extremely early tower, because I knew it was coming. However, this troll is out of range of the tower, and really I needed to build another tower to protect this area, but I didn't have enough money, and now my citadel is gone. So you see here, if you were ever in doubt that trolls are extremely effective, here is a perfect example for you. And also, if you were ever in doubt that Dmitry is a good player, from my previous video where I beat him, here you see how excellent a player he is, and how very often I lose to him. I think if anything, he beats me more than I beat him. And really that is something that I need to think about, is the consistency of my play. It probably leaves a bit to desire. I think I can play pretty well in certain situations, but very often I slip up, as I have done here. And really I need to work on my consistency in matches. So you see I've been winning on the outside, even against his trolls and his army. But thanks to that very good troll harass from him inside my base. And look at this now, he's completely destroyed my base. 4 trolls. And I've just given the GG. That's it, it's over. There's no way of coming back from that. So that was the game really. And I did mention it in the previous game, the previous 1v1 video that I produced, where I play against Deathless. Really, I used the same strategy as in that game, and it showed its complete weakness. Whereas I showed a lot of the strengths of the strategy in Deathless game. That just showed how to effectively counter that particular strategy of mine with Imladris. And that is grabbing control of the outside farms. I simply didn't have enough units to be harassing and creeping to the same degree that my opponent, Dmitry, did. So his overwhelming amount of farms, basically, that he had all over the map, and also within his base, because Mordor and Gondor, and actually most factions, have, versus Imladris, is they have so many more build plots inside their base. So his economy just completely overwhelmed me, and he used his superior economy to invest very heavily in trolls. And then he used those trolls to just completely wipe out my base. So really, that is the shortcoming of that strategy that I showed previously, and that is why I have changed my strategy. And I would like to be showing some more videos of my new Imladris strategy to show you how I now prefer to play Imladris, and how I think Imladris is more optimally played. So, thank you for watching. It's a bit of a short one, and it's a short one because Dmitry is an excellent player that beat me very quickly because of what a giant noob I am. So, thank you very much, and goodbye.